Hello again, my name's Robin. I work at Sandage Neighborhood Place as an outreach worker and I do parent education workshops and facilitation. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about self-care. In my last video, I talked about healthy versus unhealthy coping and how I can tell that self-care is working as feeling better afterwards. So how do I feel when I come back to the situation? Do I feel rested or rejuvenated in some way, more able to regulate and be present with my kids? And that is a marker for me on whether my self-care practices are working, whether I feel like I am giving myself the attention that I need in order to be centered and be able to be present with my kids. And self-care is really, really important. I think that it's one of those things that has become an almost meaningless term in some ways in our culture, where we throw it around so much that we don't really know what it means anymore. And it can often get put down as just beauty treatments and girls' nights out and glasses of wine and those sort of bigger gestures as far as self-care goes, that they're actually about the thing. And I don't think that self-care is actually about the thing. I think it's about the intention and how we feel afterwards. So it doesn't mean that those things couldn't be self-care. They can, but so could many other things that aren't as shiny or glamorous or easy to market to moms. So I have a lot of feelings on the self-care culture that we currently have, and I'm not going to go into that in depth because I just want to keep this video short and helpful for you. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what that self-care looks like. And it's something that we talk a lot about in our group, which is Mom's Mental Health Toolkit, which we run regularly for moms. But it also comes into all of our parenting groups because self-care is so core to who we are as mothers and how we are able to constantly be on all the time taking care of children. So when I talk about self-care not being a thing, I want to give you an example of what I mean. And for me, this morning I had a moment which really made me want to make this video and made me think about this as an important topic for right now. So I had been up for a while. I got my kids breakfast. They were eating. My husband had already started working and I was needing to get ready and then start working as well. And I put the kids in front of a show and told them that they could watch one show and ran upstairs to have my shower. And I had my shower, which was really quick. And then I got out and I got dressed and I was like, okay, I got to get back down. The show's almost over. I got to set them up with a new activity. And I had this split second where I actually considered whether or not I had enough time to brush my teeth, which is very, very silly because brushing your teeth is not a luxury. It is a basic hygiene thing that you just do, right? But I had this moment where I was like, can I afford to do this thing for myself? And I don't want to mix it up and say that brushing your teeth is self-care because I don't think it is. Basic hygiene, showering and going to the bathroom by yourself and brushing your teeth and those things, those are just hygiene things. Those are basic level stuff. A lot of moms don't get those things or don't give themselves those things, but those are just base level things. So it's not self-care. But I do think that moment where I realized what I was doing was a moment of self-care. When I took that time to be like, hey, wait a second, Robin, what are you doing even considering not brushing your teeth right now? And I gave myself that moment of self-compassion around all of these needs that I balance in my head for everybody all the time, and how I prioritize them and how my own are often down here, even though they don't need to be. My family's not saying, we need your attention right now. Everything's going to fall apart if you don't come to us now, don't brush your teeth. I just have this scale of needs in my head that I'm constantly reprioritizing. And I think that that moment where I made that realization was a moment of self-care. And the way that looks in moms' lives can be drinking your coffee hot or eating your food when it's made or not necessarily deprioritizing yourself so that you're at the bottom, but realizing that that's a conscious decision that you are making. And yes, there are times when your needs get pushed down. Maybe a kid is up in the night and you're tired and you need the sleep, and that's really, really basic, but you don't do that because you are a parent. But I think that self-care is about figuring out what your needs are and meeting them, whether that is basic hygiene or whether that's something like time alone to do something you love. I think that it is checking in with whether it's actually feeding your soul and whether it's helping you and whether it's making you come back and feel grounded. And I think it's just about finding what's right for you. So what is right for one person isn't right for another. And I've said this before, but it could be going outside, or it could be taking a moment to breathe in and breathe out and check in with yourself and see how you're actually feeling. And that's really, really important right now. And I want to do another video on that idea of kindness and compassion towards yourself, which I think is really a big part of self-care. But I want you to think about those priorities right now. So how do you prioritize your own needs? And that in itself is an act of self-care and self-kindness. And can you do anything, even if it's not a grand gesture, even if it's something really, really tiny, to take care of your own self, to put those needs at the top for a little bit, and not necessarily at the cost of anybody else. My kids were fine. I didn't need to go downstairs right away, but I was constantly deprioritizing myself, right? And I know that a lot of moms do that. So just take a moment to check in and see if that's something that you're doing. Like always, if you need support, please reach out. We have outreach workers working, and many organizations in communities do as well. And take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.